Hello friends and welcome to another Fimble-Famble Saucebox. Reviews in 5. Turns out I do have one for this week. It just took me a bit to find something to review, but I got something good for you, something real good. It is a series on Netflix, a mini-series titled Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. Oh, it's so good. So let me pop up the timer here. Here we go. And let's get started with another Fimble-Famble Saucebox. Okay, so Jonathan Strange and Mr. Norrell. It's a mini-series from the BBC. It actually premiered last year, but it just got onto Netflix like just a couple days ago, which is why I just now found it and decided to review it. But it's super cool. It was actually based on a novel by Susanna Clarke, a British novelist, and she released the original novel back in 2004. As far as I can tell, the series actually follows the novel pretty faithfully. What's really interesting about this series, how do I want to say this? What I found interesting was that they actually managed to fit the entire book into this miniseries. Because if you read the overview, I don't know if it's actually in 3 volumes or if it's like one book that's just broken into like 3 big chapters, but the book is actually broken into volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3. In volume 1 you have Mr. Norrell, and then volume 2 is Jonathan Strange, and then volume 3 is John Usglass, which is this thing called the Raven King, which I'll get into in just a minute. But they fit all of it into the one miniseries, but they left the end of the miniseries like open for further collaborations, and further series is? I don't know. But Susanna Clarke has said that she's looking to write a sequel to this book, so hopefully we'll have more coming up because it was a real good miniseries. Anyway, I haven't actually talked about what happens in the miniseries at all. At all. So let's get around to that. So basically what the whole thing is about 2 magicians in England, right? It's set around the turn of the century, and by that I mean 1800s, early 1800s, like 1806. It was during the time when England was fighting the Napoleonic Wars against Napoleon, and it was sort of around the same time as the English Industrial Revolution. So the idea is instead of industry, what if you replaced industry with magic? How would that affect things? It's sort of that, because if you look at the Industrial Revolution in England, you kind of had this mentality of North versus South, and that's kind of what Suzanne Clarke tried to capture with this series. Um, and I think that translates well in the mini-series too. But basically, what you have is one magician, Mr. Norrell. He's in his like 50s, 60s. He's been studying magic for years. He's been studying magic out of these books of magic that he's collected over years and years and years and studied, and he can use practical magic. And he presents this to some very important people down in London to try to make magic respectable again. And so he kind of becomes the government's magician. Well, around the same time he's doing this, another man by the name of Jonathan Strange discovers that he's a magician. Um, he doesn't have any training or anything. He just sort of feels his way, and he's just um, very imaginative, and he creates his own spells and he makes his own magic. And his magic is sort of, it's much more impressive looking than Mr. Norrell's, because Mr. Norrell is very by the book, whereas Jonathan Strange is like feel it out as you go. So it's very interesting. Um, but the one thing that they always conflict about is this figure known as the Raven King. So it's basically 300 years in the past, there was this magician known as the Raven King, who was sort of the founder of English magic. He he messed around with lots of fairy magic, but fairies are like awful in this. They're like tricksters that will seem to give you what you want and then give you something completely different. And it's ooh, it's bad. You don't want to mess with that. And they sort of conflict. Jonathan thinks that the Raven King is very important, whereas Mr. Norrell would rather him be forgotten. And sort of this conflict of old versus new, and mystic versus practical. And I don't know. It's very interesting, and it's a very good story. The episodes are really like thick with story because they're only an hour long, but so much happens in each hour. It's only 7 episodes long, but so much happens within each hour that you think that they're longer because they just compact so much into each story. But it's still a really good story. It never feels like super fast or super weird. It's really good. And if you like magic, it's almost, I've heard people say it's like Harry Potter for adults, but I would recommend it. I mean, it's just a really good, interesting series that's very well done. All right. Oh, and also the special effects aren't total crap either. I mean, they're pretty good special effects, so that too. But I hope that you enjoyed yet another Fimble-Famble Saucebox with me. I'm so glad that it got done in 5 minutes. I wasn't sure there at the beginning. I was afraid I might run out of time, but it worked out. It worked out. And I hope that you guys enjoyed too. I don't know why I paused there. I just did. Anyway, I hope that you guys enjoyed. If you did, you should hit the like button. You should. If you disliked, you can hit the dislike button. That's fine. Comments, positive, negative, you can leave them below. I try to read them all. You can find me on Twitter at JankShenanigans, on Facebook at facebook.com/JankyShenanigans. And don't forget, for the rest of this month, I have a plan for Fimble-Famble Saucebox. Next week, we will be reviewing Daredevil Season 1, then the week after, Daredevil Season 2, then the week after that, Jessica Jones, all leading up to the premiere of Luke Cage on Netflix at the end of this month, which I'm very, very excited for. So definitely be tuning in for that. But more than any of that, I hope you have a lovely day, evening, or whenever you happen to be watching, and thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate your viewership. It's awesome. It's wonderful. I think that it's great that you check out my content, and just thank you. Thank you so much for watching. And until next time, this is Janky Shenanigans, signing out. I'm going to have to cut so much of this out. Oh my god, we'll get there. Oh, that's gonna be a whole rant unto itself. Oh look, a room full of explosives. Intergalactic super battles. What? Indeed. That's my reaction too. I just walked off a cliff. That's what we call physical comedy. I'm Onion Sam. So thanks for watching, and I will see you next time.